This is a free sample of the book, Man's Guide to Making Male Friends, by Cairo Copeland. The first half of this book is posted right here on YouTube, free for everyone to listen to. If you like this content and want to hear or read the rest, or want to listen to it free of ads, visit reinventideal.com/friends. The book is available on Kindle, paperback, and Audible at reinventideal.com/friends.
Chapter 1. How did men become so isolated? It has become more difficult for a 30-year-old guy to make male friends than it is for an 18-year-old guy to find a girlfriend. Growing up, the boys often played with other boys while girls played with other girls. It was a natural occurrence out of shared interests. The boys don't want to play with dolls, and the girls weren't interested in dinosaurs and trucks. Since this socialization starts at an early age, you'd think it would continue as we get older, but it doesn't, at least not for men. Women seem to have no trouble at all making friends with other women. It seems like every woman on Earth has her own social support group. You notice this every time a woman goes out in public. She's hardly ever alone. Or, even when she goes to the bathroom, she has a support group with her for that too. Further, women that are total strangers to each other seem to be able to talk about anything together, like best friends. They even have their own subtle forms of communication, like when a woman is on a date with a guy she turned out to not like, she can look at the waitress with those help me eyes, and the waitress does something to distract the guy while the woman escapes. It's the whole sisterhood alliance. Deep down, every woman is her sister's keeper. But we don't have the same thing as men, where every man is his brother's keeper, do we? These additional levels of safety have helped usher in the female primary pecking order of today's society. This order comes at the expense of men's comfort and happiness. Now, some say it's social justice, namely social justice warriors, because in past history, the social order was male primary. But those days are long gone. It's more likely that society has overcorrected itself in the manner of equalizing the statuses of the sexes. Males are often made to feel unwelcome in social gatherings, private and public. I can speak from experience, as the many adult parties I've attended and clubs I've gone into charged more than double for single guy entry than they charged for women and couples. The message was clear. If you're a guy, you better have a woman with you to vouch for you, otherwise we really don't want you. Worse yet, it is not a female conspiracy acting in the shadows to make guys feel so unwelcomed. It's actually other guys that are doing it to us. Just like how, in the mating and dating market, a man's greatest foe isn't the women that fleece him for free attention. His greatest foe is other guys. Because other guys give out free attention and validation so easily to women like foolish simps. The single women expect to be treated like queens by all men as a result. The problem originates from the competitive nature of males, and while in the mating and dating market, we see each other as competitors, the result is that we turn against each other over women. This is true not just with the dating world, but in many aspects of our lives. While the women of the world seem to march together all in unison, the men seem to spar against each other more often. There is a worldwide sisterhood alliance, but no brotherhood. Why can't guys have a similar bond? What is it that has caused us to become isolated from another? Cultural conditioning of the blue pill. The blue pill has done yet another disservice to men by encouraging them to disconnect from each other. Now, in my coaching practice, I always ask my clients how many male friends they had, and many of them had none. And here are some of the reasons they'd tell me as to why. They would give me statements like, I'm just not comfortable with other guys. I don't relate to them very much because I'm not into sports or cars or video games or whatever. Or I'd also hear something like, most guys are douchebags. Or I'd hear something like, I used to have a lot of guy friends, but after I got married, my wife made me feel guilty for spending time with them, so I stopped. And then another one that I heard was, women are more interested in getting to know the real me, and guys just aren't. So it would seem that every group of adult friends today is just a bunch of people who almost dated. While all these guys grew up playing with other boys their age, they seem to have grown apart from them as they became adults. Not in the relationship sense of growing apart, but rather felt as if they didn't belong in the same categorization as other guys their age. That begs the question, what happened between childhood and adulthood to cause this? First, there was the government-run education system that pushes the fempowerment mandate. The teachers in this education system are often female, so the boys learn early on that it's more important to win a woman's approval than it is to win the approval of their male peers. Second, many of these boys were raised in single-mother households. They were born in the era of no-fault divorce and were often disconnected from their fathers. With just a mother left in the home, the idea that they must do all they can to win the approval of a woman was reinforced here. Other times, if there was a father present, most likely divorced and living away, the mother often had the greater custody. Perhaps she would complain about the failures of his father and made it explicit to her son that she was going to raise him to be nothing like his father. Or the boy saw how much his father distressed his mother and decided on his own to be nothing like him. Either way, the boy learned to prioritize a woman's bond in favor over a man's. Third, the way that many boys are raised today is as if they are defective girls. They're taught that their masculine nature is toxic and should be resisted. They're told that they should be more feminine in the sense that they should share their feelings and be more vulnerable more often. The boys falsely assume that they are safer doing this with females than with males because they're afraid other guys will make fun of them for having feelings. Often, the blue pill conditioned male believes he is different from other men, even superior to them. Of all things that the blue-pilled male is, an asshole is not one of them. I'm a nice guy, they'll say. I'm one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. They believe themselves to be exceptionally nice and good character to their core, like Captain America Steve Rogers. And this becomes a pride point for them, that they are not like the asshole boyfriends their female friends complain about, nor the bad fathers their mothers complained about. They intentionally try not to be like these guys. Also, many guys believe that most other guys are inherently bad or just losers. They think that all other guys want to do is drink beer, play video games, and watch sports. Where does this perception come from, though? It's not from real-world observation, but rather from media depictions. You see, it can't be from real-world observation because these guys don't hang out with other guys enough to know that that's what really goes on in the life of another male. But every sitcom, and most of those teen comedy movies, show young men to be exactly this. To be these lazy bums that just sit around the house, drink beer, and watch TV. And as for the older guys, just about every mature guy on TV is portrayed as a total moron. Who would want to be friends with that? Women find it easier to bond with other members of the same sex because talking about their feelings is in their nature. Men, however, tend to bond together during experiences, not just talking. Female nature seems to suggest that women are more interested in people, while male nature suggests that men are more interested in things. Dr. Jeffrey Grafe seems to have confirmed this in his book, The Buddy System, Understanding Male Friendships. In his book, he points out that most male friendships are formed when males are standing shoulder to shoulder, sharing an experience, as opposed to the female bonding that occurs face to face, sharing feelings. Guys make friends with each other playing sports, or playing in music bands, or getting work done together. This implies that they must be doing something to bond with others, and this is the same evil premise of the blue pill world. That we're only loved conditionally, that the only thing that makes us valuable to others is what we can do for others. This inferior style of thinking and gravitation to be service-oriented, becoming less so others can become more, is what makes many males unsuccessful with women. It should be no surprise that it also makes them unsuccessful with other males as well. You've probably seen it 1,000 times, how guys are so quick to be of service, to be so service-minded. And usually, it's for a good cause. It's going to be, let's go serve God, or let's go serve our country or our community. Let's serve the corporation. But then it became about serving mom, serving women, serving your girlfriend serving your wife, or serving a girl that was your friend but not your girlfriend. Once the fempowerment mandate found out how useful that service nature in males was, they exploited it for all they could. As we grow into adulthood and take on more obligations at work and home, men typically have less time to partake in such shared activities, like sports and music bands. As a result, they get more isolated. And while they don't have time to go out to create experiences, they sure aren't going to substitute it by spending hours on the phone catching up with their bros. That is what women would do, but men have no desire to do this. And it has nothing to do with cultural conditioning, because they're like this when they're young kids. A study conducted on 2,000 boys found that males believed talking about their problems was weird, or a waste of time. Now, this is due to the deductive problem-solving nature inherent in all males. We understand that in the time we spend moaning about our problems, we could have easily stumbled upon a solution to them, so we don't bother bitching about them. However, this doesn't help us with problems that aren't easily solved. Another contributor to the social exclusion of males brought on by the blue pill conditioning is the encouragement and, at times, insistence that they make sacrifices. Sometimes such sacrifices that they are encouraged to make is the forsaking of friendships to focus on marital and work-related matters. There are just too many hats for said man to wear. He has a job to do, a wife to please, and children he feels guilty about if he doesn't spend more time with them. Then, whenever he does get to spend time with guy friends, they make him the butt of some jokes about him being pussy-whipped. The male mind is also much different in the area of communication than it is for female minds. A male may have stronger neural connections in the area of the brain that takes responsibility for making observations and moving to act, but the female brains have greater connections in the neural pathways responsible for interpersonal connection. This is purely evolutionary carryover from the hunter-gatherer days. Males had to be better hunters in order to survive in the wilderness, while women had to be better communicators in order to create a greater community of support while their males went out to hunt. Finally, perhaps the greatest hindrance for males in making male friends is that admitting you're lonely feels a lot like admitting you're a loser. Many would rather suffer in silence, just like how they don't seek out help with getting better with women because it's expected of them to just know how to get women, and admitting they don't would make them the targets of ridicule. An unspoken, unwritten law of being a real man is that a real man needs nothing and no one. Some of the thoughts they have are, I can't ask other guys when I need help. They'll think less of me. I can't cry in front of other men. They will tell me to turn in my man card. Asking another guy just to hang out with me feels awkward and they might think I'm gay. All these obstacles stacked up together form the perfect storm to keep men isolated apart from each other. Thus, bonds are never formed, and brotherhoods never emerge. With men not coalescing together, with them feeling so isolated and powerless, the fempowerment mandate has all the free space to enforce its will without resistance. That's why the blue pill conditioning keeps men apart from one another. Even the guys that reject the cultural conditioning of the blue pill end up in isolation. In many cases, guys that embrace the wisdom of the red pill consortium intentionally separate themselves from others with a sense of superiority derived from their red pill awareness. This is an easy trap to fall for. The alpha male myth has infested its way throughout much of the conglomerate of male knowledge available online, as well as into the Red Pill Consortium. Like the fempowerment mandate, all it has really done is pit males against each other. Even awakened ones are at odds, like Morpheus and Commander Locke, battling over what is the right way to resist the machines and their ensuing slavery. Instead of trying to out-white knight each other, as they did while plugged into the blue pill world, they now try to out-alpha each other in their liberated red pill world. Even if we take awareness of true intergender dynamics out of the picture, a competition to outdo each other still exists, or at least an inner-driven push to separate from each other exists. There's a trope of the lone wolf, badass, like Clint Eastwood, that we're expected to adhere to. This image and ideal is uniquely American because men in other cultures don't have this friendship problem. In American culture, an idea has permeated that men don't like relationships. And this is quite ironic as males are more wired for them. Boys are more likely to form playground gangs, sports teams, and musical bands. And it's been that way for as long as history books can document it. But today, guys are doing themselves a great disservice with the belief that they need to out-alpha their fellow man. Firstly, there's no such thing as a human alpha male. It's pure bro science made up by fools like Vox Day. I'm so tired of hearing about Vox Day. I've got so many messages from guys saying, hey, have you seen the documentaries by Vox Day? What do you think of them? His sociosexual hierarchy where he goes through the alpha and the beta and the sigma and the gamma. I was like, no, I have not seen them. I tried as hard as I could to watch them, but it's just awful YouTubing. If you're going to make a YouTube documentary, please do something more than just sitting in front of the webcam talking, all right? Any idiot can do that. So if you're going to make a documentary, you need to actually include some B-roll and make it feel like a documentary. And on top of that, if your subject matter is trash, like Vox Day's subject matter, then it doesn't matter how good you try to make it, it's still trash. Because the proper classification words for the dynamic you're talking about, it's not alpha and beta. The proper words are dominant and submissive when referring to strong and weak men. Because every relationship, not just male-female, but same-sex relationships even, have dominant and submissive participants in it. And whether you are a dominant or a submissive male is only relevant when the subject being discussed is attracting women. It's only beneficial for you to be dominant around women, not around other men, unless they are already your subordinates. Because to be so domineering around other guys only makes them dislike you. I mean, we all had that boss that was such a jerk because he wanted to feel so in charge and flex his authority. And you immediately thought, what is this guy trying to compensate for? Secondly, just believing in the alpha male myth further separates you from other guys because you see them as your competitor. It will have you going down the loner's path, which only creates another unnecessary obstacle to your life's success. Strangely, and this is how you know the world is working against males, the world pushes men down this path and praises them for it. However, the commonality of the lone male, while powerfully pushed down our throats and seemingly accepted, is a very recent creation. In the past, male friends came from doing things together like military service, working on the farm, and being shipmates. There was no shortage of work back then to make guys band together. Further, this was manual labor, not office work. You were going to bust and sweat your ass off side by side with other men, so you may as well make friends with them because the survival of the tribe depended on it. Throughout the progression of time, community took a back seat to independence, with homes in the suburbs, commuters opting for car rides alone instead of buses and trains, and cubicle offices took over old workspaces where bonding was encouraged. From the industrial age to the digital age, the isolation trend began. Not saying that any of those things are bad, we do like the technological progression, but it did come with some unintended consequences. However, you still have the skills to be social and make friends. You only need to relearn them. You need to override your blue pill conditioning yet again.
Thank you for listening to this free sample of the book, Man's Guide to Making Male Friends, by Cairo Copeland. If you enjoyed it and want to hear or read the rest, or want to listen to it free of ads, visit reinventideal.com/friends. The book is available on Kindle, paperback, and Audible at reinventideal.com/friends.